there might be a number of signs that are obvious, and sometimes that there aren't signs. We've had people wandering, being really, you can actually see that they're upset, and we might start a conversation that way. And sometimes people will approach us at the front desk as well. Okay. And those that have, as I said, presented that have been upset, we will take them aside and give them some privacy and some space and try to give them some basic support. What we do is try to tailor the conversation to the particular circumstance and have a conversation about what services are currently available and help them to get in touch with those services. Okay. We'll give them some basic supports, as I said. We might be just some food parcels if they're not going back home that day, or we might make a phone call on their behalf to a localised emergency service, or we one occasion I've had a mum where I gave her a private office so that she could make some phone calls to the services as well as the police while I looked after her little ones. Okay. So the support is quite varied, and it's kind of just working with the situation at hand, and just being conscious and being sensitive, obviously culturally, as well as trying not to be triggering any more kind of emotions and kind of making the situation any worse. So we might use like a Google translation services if that's what we have to do, or like for immediate action or for an immediate conversation, just to survive, so that until maybe an interpreter might arrive, or that they feel confident in contacting a family member or a friend who will then potentially support them through that conversation. So it just depends, we are very sensitive, to their needs and to what's going on for them, and we don't want to be overstepping the mark, and we only do, whatever we do, we are open and honest with the person that might be presenting around, experiencing some family violence. It all starts with a cup of tea, and many community conversations do start that way, and even in this type of situation it can be. So it's not my job or duty to kind of get a story out of somebody. They can only talk about what they want to talk about. Okay. But basically it's just providing them some support and warmth and care, I suppose. So we'd provide them with a cup of tea, maybe a bit of a private space, have a chat to them, are you okay? Do you want some extra help? It's obvious that what your experience might be this, do you want to discuss this further? We don't force conversations, and we don't make anyone feel as though that they need to talk about anything. And again, we're not experts in this area. We might have minimum counselling skills or counselling experience ourselves, and we might also engage the maternal and child healthcare nurses who are much more experienced in this field. So there's other factors that we will take into consideration and that will dictate how we work that conversation. Myself and all of the community centre staff have attended family violence training. So again, we are very careful about the language we use in that particular situation. We've got some pamphlets as well as some information up around the centre about what family violence is. Some people don't even realise that the emotional abuse is just as detrimental and be just as harmful as the physical abuse. So, culturally we understand that there might be some family circumstances that might make things tricky as well. And we know that family violence can be not just from the husband to the wife, it can also be in many forms, So it's about explaining those differences about the psychological, the emotional and the physical abuse and the financial abuse that might be potentially happening as well. Giving them the reassurance that that is actually not okay within our Australian law. It's recognised as family violence, and that give them reassurance that police do a lot of work in this space, and you know, are generally quite sensitive to people's needs when they are experiencing this kind of. There's a lot of reassurance there. Culturally, we understand that people that are new to Australia might not have a positive experience with law enforcement back from where they may have come from. So, you know, so we want to reassure them that, you know, our laws recognise that that behaviour isn't okay and it is against the law. Well, that's a good question. So certainly I would not have generally gone into too much conversation about visas and that sort of thing, but generally, you know, to reassure them that whatever behaviour they're experiencing, that physical or emotional abuse is actually physical and emotional abuse. It is actually up to them whether or not that they want to pursue with making contact with the police. And there are other organisations that they can follow up and have conversations with. You know, I don't know of many organisations that will turn their back just because they don't have the right visa. You know, it may happen, but you know, I think a lot of people that are working these particular services, you know, their heart will go out for them. I think we all just do the best that we can at the time. You know, and try to offer as much reassurance, you know, and kind of and try to make the person, the victim or the person that may be experiencing it, to feel empowered that they can take steps to put themselves in a safer position. In the past, it's also been, you know, do you want me to give you a call in a week's time to see how you're going? You know, I'm open about that. So we don't take people's contact details. You know, that's only how do you feel now? Would you like me to touch base with you in a week? Look, I'll always make an effort for a follow-up phone call, or if I can, we do have their contact details, if they felt comfortable to leave their contact details, so I'll certainly follow up with a phone call. Or touch base in that way, but it's certainly, you know, and then maybe at that follow-up phone call, you know, how you going, you know, it's just being really sensitive. Might have to be a frank conversation, you know, and the nurses may handle that differently. So it might be, you know, because of this situation, we might need to call Child Protection Services. This is the service. They're not about breaking up families, you know, they really aren't. They really want to see families stay together, you know, so it just means it's just a notification to that organisation to touch base with that family at some stage. Many of those that may have experienced this type of hardship, they might think that this is okay or that they deserve it. You know, there might be a lot of guilt, you know, in confiding with somebody other than their family and friends. Well, language can be a barrier as well, and the translation of language. Culturally, there's a lot of concern about that they might be ostracised from their local direct community, you know, so it's about reassuring them that, you know, that you won't be here. Not to be judgmental about the cultural, you know, their particular cultural beliefs. When you're a community development officer, you see all sorts of things in the community, so nothing is really a shock anymore. So, but certainly, you know, and I feel like I'm learning every day, you know, and I really, you know, work hard at building strong relationships with people in the community. So I learn each day, you know, a little bit more about a particular culture. like to see more. I know that's particularly those that are new to Australia. You know, they at first will often feel more connected to people of their same culture, and that's not always the case, but often that is the case.
Yeah.
So I would like to see more cultural groups here. You know, or I'd love to see, maybe more of that sort of stuff. You know, or create a sense of awareness.
Yeah.
You know, I'd love to get the message out to everyone that is socially isolated that this is a safe space and that you can engage with people and kind of, you know, not feel judged or prejudiced here.